chaos was born and created change. That's what this symbol means. This here is a testicle. And what happened? Uranus was the god of the sky. Okay, so think of the wholeness of the sky intact. And all of a sudden, his son, Saturn, got pissed and said, motherfucker, I'm going to castrate you. Important word, castrate. What does castrate mean? Okay, remove the testicle, technically. But if I say to you, you feel castrated by that relationship or by that job, what is castrate?
Something that's been taken away from you.
It could feel that something's been taken away. And what is that thing that's been taken away? Your what? Not necessarily. If you feel castrated,
Freedom.
freedom. Freedom and liberty. Independence. Any single time that you are in utter chaos, what the person is saying with their actions, with their problems, is this thing, whatever it is that we discover in therapy, has castrated me. It is limiting my freedom, my independence, and I feel imprisoned. That is why the person creates chaos and change. Because whatever is making them stable and happy, inside, what they're really feeling is, I'm castrated, I'm imprisoned, I'm being limited by this stability. That's why people don't like stability. That's why people like chaos. Oftentimes, most people like stability, like I'm in that process now, because I just went through hell and back. So I just want stability because I can't take anymore. Not because I am a stable person that just loves boredom and oh my God, everything to be no, look at my freaking history. You can see I'm chaos after chaos after chaos after chaos. So we sort of añorar, how do you see, like desire stability and that calm after the storm because we just went through a storm. Then we get kind of comfortable. We forget that we went through hell, and then we go find hell again, and we go create more chaos. And we're in this vicious cycle. This is humanity. This is all of us. Some people are more calm than others by nature. Some people are more boring by nature. Some people are less make waves by nature, but does not mean that they don't create chaos, even if it's just a nail breaking, in their life as much as the next person. So when someone is dissatisfied and create change or want change or in chaos, you have to go back to find out what was castrating them. Where you find castration in the chart, which I'm not getting into today, is where you have Saturn, the one that looks like an H. I moved it. That is the part of your life that will castrate you over and over and over again, and you can never get out of it. It is a death sentence. It sucks.
Saturn and
That's
Uranus
another. Okay, so you chaos, stability, chaos, stability, chaos, stability. You can't make a decision which one you want more. That's usually when they're together. But this is literally the prison on earth in which we will feel castrated over and over and over again. But we'll talk that about another day. So if we take the person back, or we ask the right questions, which is our job, we will get to the beginning, the origin story. Why do I ask you to ask them about their parents? Why do I ask you to ask them about the moment of their conception? Why do we care?
Find out where their cycle started.
Okay, because if we can get to the beginning, mom and dad, the good doesn't really cause problems, but the bad, what was my mom and what my dad, what were their hang-ups, what were their fucking crazy thoughts at the moment of conception? Who were my parents, in my case at 19 and 21, very different than now in their 70s and 80s, then that will give me insight to why I feel castrated when something happens, or why I value certain liberties. And I go to the source, mom and dad. But if you don't have that, it doesn't matter. Because this is a cycle like everything else. And so the birth story will tell you, the pregnancy will tell you, lo and behold, the 0 to 7, which is what the person remembers, will tell you. So we don't automatically go to the moment of conception, like the other day when you were said to George, tell me about your childhood. We don't need to go automatically to the childhood. He's 40-something, 50-something. He's had cycle over cycle over cycle to get there. But lo and behold, if we were to take it back, we will see that at the moment of conception, those parents had the exact same issues that he has right now. The exact. We are like prints, and we just repeat. So that's why I started the model with the good and bad bucket, because it saves me so much time. Boom, done. I figured it out because the person wrote it down. I don't need to do anything. Just explain to them what's happening. Yes?
But like, for example, in my situation, my mom claims that she doesn't understand how I came out the way I came out. Because according to her, she went to Catholic school and she was a goody two-shoe, and then she came to this country and she was all good.
And she married her cousin.
Her uncle.
Her uncle.
But
just saying.
I'm exactly, like, why is it that she has to make herself look better or look or good?
Because
in my
we all
eyes.
come from wholeness. I had somebody the other day send me a message. I'm so disillusioned with people. I'm such a good person, and everybody else is bad. No. You're good and you are bad. And those people are good and they are bad. We, as a humanity, want to believe we are better than what we are. Because we come from this. We don't want to see the crack that we are also the other side. So religion has said God and devil. I say dark, bad bucket, good bucket. It doesn't matter what you call it. You are both, because remember, we are dual. Now your mom happens to be a devout Catholic. So of course she only wants to see, because she's a fucking narcissist, the good. She can't. She's not introspective enough. She doesn't have enough self-analysis to realize that she is bad and good. So something in her life must be bad, and she's picked you. And you love that role, so you take it on and you gloat, and now you guys are happy. She's good, you're bad. No, she's good and bad, you're good and bad. And I don't like these terms good and bad because we have connotation, but we have no other language, so that's what we're using. Okay? So in your story, you let her be the good guy, and you're the bad guy. It works. It works perfect, because then the system is perfect, 50-50. But that's a bunch of bullshit. Because she had qualities that were not so great at the moment of conception, that she passed on to you, and she had qualities that were great that she passed on to you. But the way you guys are choosing to live this out is that she's the good and you're the bad. it serves you and it serves her, and that's why you guys live the way you live. The day you decide to change that, which I think is coming, once maybe financially doesn't serve you anymore, you're going to change that story. So we are creating this in our life.
And she'll be lost.
Of course.
She'll be
And
lost
she'll have to
because she
find
can't
another devil.
Blame, yeah.
She will have to find another devil, and someone will show up in her life that will suit her. Maybe it's your brother, maybe it's the garbage man.
Who knows?
Maybe
Who
it's the dog.
knows?
Because we know the dog's bad.
And you will have to find someone good. I'm hoping that you will find that in you.
Yeah.
And then you'll be more balanced. Okay? So we have to go up and find out what the person was castrated from. What was taken from them, or what do they feel was taken from them. So my ex-husband says to me, I said to him one day, I said, I feel you have FOMO. And he's like, I have FOMO of missing out on my life. FOMO, you know, is fear of missing out. So he felt castrated by the marriage and by the children. So he got rid of the wife and the kids. Blew up his life, was dissatisfied, made a change, and now is a single man, and whatever he's doing, I don't know. Sometimes it's that simple, because he had no tie to us. Those aren't his kids biologically. He didn't want to have a relationship with me. It took a while, because it takes a while to detach the divorce process, the money and all that. And now he's on his life and I'm on my life. My job, which is very hard, is to find out what I was dissatisfied with. Because he didn't do that only to himself. It came into my life and my kids' lives. And this is a hard part of therapy. It's a very hard, sort of narrow road. He has the blame, technically, right? Because he left a marriage that I was very happy in and did not want to end. So in the story, he's the bad guy. He castrated me. I also castrated him, obviously, and that's why he left. But I'm suffering the effects. So in therapy, you want to validate the client and you want to be empathic to the client, but you also have to get the client, which I told you all that I live by, to take some personal responsibility. And that's hard, because my life was destroyed. A variety of things, but that was a very big part of the whole story. And now somehow I have to find it in me to say, what was I dissatisfied with? Why did I want change? And that's part of our job with clients, is to weave it in a way where not only do they get heard and validated and empathy, but take them to a place where maybe they can see that they had a role in it. That's why we say there's two sides to the story. That's hard. That's not always a very easy thing to do. That's one of the roles in therapy with a client. And so you must maintain a boundary, Rule 101 in therapy, with the client. Because if not, what happens? You get so involved and emotionally invested in this person that it's like, oh, the son of a bitch, he's a bastard. And now you went from therapist to friend. Your friends are supposed to tell you that the guy is a son of a bitch and fuck him, and I hope he gets HIV, and I hope he loses his dick falls off, and all that. That's what your friends are supposed to do. As a therapist, you walk a different line. You validate and empathize, but you also have to ask questions for the person to recognize that maybe they were dissatisfied with something. Maybe they too wanted a change. I didn't want a change to lead to divorce, but I definitely wanted a change in certain things that were happening in the marriage. So you have to do this introspection and this inner work. And our job is not to solve the person's problem, and our job is not to give answers. Our job is to ask questions, or perhaps show something like this, a visual representation of how did you get there? Why did you create this? What were you dissatisfied with that this maybe served a purpose for you? That's not always easy when you're in the midst of crisis. But that's what separates a therapist from a friend. And so we have to have that boundary, and we have to learn that. So a lot of people are attracted to this profession because they're the ones that give their friends all this advice. And all of a sudden they start, clinical counseling, and they're like, damn, this is not anything what I expected. This is a hard profession because you're obviously human, you obviously care for people and have compassion, but you have to somehow get them to see their own role in their misery, their own role in what they've created. And guess who that starts with? You and you and you and you doing that to yourself. I stand up here every week teaching you guys because I have to do this work too. I'm not lecturing, I'm sharing because I'm in this process with you guys. That's what makes it special. If you ever through your studies has a teacher that is like do, but they're not walking the walk, get the hell out of that classroom. Or a therapist for that matter. And that's what tends to happen, is that therapists don't do their own work. And just this morning we were talking about how therapists need to be in therapy. So it all starts with you. And that's why we spend time talking about your issues and what's going on, so that we can look at it firsthand, and you can actually, and that's why all of you have changed and grown so much. Because this isn't easy work. And what happens when you're doing all this introspection and you're looking at all your shit, and now your friends start to tell you all of their crap?
I just want to smack.
You start looking at people and their problems in a different way. It doesn't mean that you're not a good friend, but now you have a new level of understanding, and you're like, but wait. And so that starts to create a boundary, and then you have to learn, don't therapize when you're friends, and don't be a friend when you're supposed to be the therapist. And that's something that a lot of people struggle in learning. That's why we never, like you told the girls, don't therapize your parents and your family and your friends. Don't do it. Don't be the freaking therapist to your boyfriend. Worst thing ever. I tell my daughter all the time, do not be the therapist to your husband when you're married.
Tell them to find their own therapist.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So we have to keep this in mind. This is all part of the training. But it starts with doing your own work.
I start cutting people off when they start bringing me their bullshit.
Okay.
I'm like, fuck you, I don't have time for this. I'm in my own transition.
You're in your own chaos.
You're
in your own chaos. And that's why I was telling you the other day, the cocoon is a lonely place. The cocoon, you don't have food, you don't have friends, you have nobody. So even though you're surrounded with people, you feel so lonely and isolated. Because the process of crisis and change is a lonely one. In nature, you see caterpillars and you see butterflies, but you never see a chrysalis. You never see a cocoon. Because the cocoons are like in the flower pots or hidden deep. That process is a very deep, internal, personal process. This morning, I was on a rampage. I was in the break room yelling and screaming. I vented, and luckily I had some nice colleagues that heard it, but they went on their way. They probably said she's a fucking nutbag, how's she a therapist? And I moved on, and they moved on, yeah! Because it's a lonely process. It's a personal process. And you can't take that from your client. You can be available, you can talk, you can empathize, you can listen, but at the end of the day, they have to do this alone. 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week is a little drop in the bucket. They're with themselves 24 hours a day. So what do? We go to distractions. Distractions. We have sex, we eat, we cook, we take care of our kids, we get a job, we run around, we do makeup, we're this, we're that. Because who the hell wants to hear or feel all this chaos?
Or you watch TV.
We watch TV. Oh my God, I watch Last Man Standing, mindless TV, hour after hour after hour, just to get out of it.
Oh, I watch Power just to get into the story.
I mean, let me see someone else's drama to get out of my own.
That's why we watch reality TV. I don't personally like it. I guess they just, I have that very
Better their crisis.
patience, but that's why people do it.
Of course.
Because it's somebody else's life.
Oh, like
Because
Temptation
the
Island,
shit that we're dealing with is so heavy.
Yeah.
The crisis, the dissatisfaction is so heavy. Being in the cocoon is so heavy, so lonely. That we're like, fuck. First of all, misery loves company. Let me watch someone else fucking destroy their life on TV. Oh, great, I'm not alone. We all love that, you know? And it's like mindlessness. I need to get out of this chaos I'm in. I need to get out of this thing and just waste time on something else. So this morning, my dear friend who loves me to death says, let's do a meditation. And I'm like, are you crazy? I can't do a fucking meditation. He's like, what, to listen to this more? To actually sit there and listen to the fucking craziness more? No way! And she starts cracking up. When I was a meditator, I taught meditation. I mean, but right now, I'm in crisis.
No one wants
I
to
don't
be
want to
on
fucking meditate. I don't want to hear it. I want to talk nonsense, and I want to see mindless TV, and I want to have no deep conversation. Well, this isn't true because that's part of my therapy, but I want to distract my mind. And so don't fucking tell your client to go read a book on existential crisis and meditate and do all this fucking soul-searching shit when they're in the midst of crisis because they're gonna blow their fucking brain.
Did that happen to you?
No, it didn't. And there are times that it's appropriate to
It's a
tell your
lower
client,
version of
obviously.
what
I'm
you
just being silly. I'm just being silly. The thing is that my life was dictated by spirit and meditation and mindfulness and all of that. That's the last thing. Remember, it's a change. That's the last thing I fucking need. There are people that actually indeed do need that, and studies show that mindfulness and meditation and all that help people get through crisis. Why? Because they get more in tune with their thoughts and all of that great stuff. I'm not knocking it, I'm just being silly because right now that's the last thing I need.
Oh.
So it's like, shoot you if you tell me to go meditate or read a book on spirituality. You know? I'm like, no!
Mine was the journaling. Like, I started with every different color pen and all of that. And I think this has to be one of the worst crisis times, but then it was just starting. So I was just
you're in it deep.
oh yeah, it gets even better after last night.
I used to watch Bugs Bunny.
Oh, I love
Yes,
Bugs
there you
When
go.
I'm depressed, I watch cartoons.
Bunny. Yeah, same.
Max and
SpongeBob all the
Ruby.
way.
Yeah,
Shut up.
Max and
No.
Ruby. I
Because what are cartoons?
Fake.
Wholeness,
Innocent.
innocence, Neptune. I didn't put.
Finish your
Remember what I told you the other day. Chaos and crisis is the shattering of innocence. So we want things to take us back to innocence before Persephone got raped, right? Cartoons, our favorite food. The other day my friend was over and she made soup. So she made soup and salad, and I had 2 bowls of soup, and she's like, you don't want any salad? And I love salad. But I wanted soup, warmth, just soup, I burnt my tongue, it was so hot, it was so wonderful. Because I'm not looking for the soup or the salad, I'm looking for home. I'm looking for mom. My parents used to make, my dad would make stifling hot soup. We want to go back home, okay? And that's why we get into addictions or we get into all the things at Neptune. That's why people will retreat. That's one of the functions of illness. Remember when I talked to you guys about breast cancer? One of the functions of illness is to retreat back. Because when you were sick, not everybody, but most people, when they were sick, they got special attention, they got to stay home, they got their favorite blanket, they got their favorite food.
Mom was there for once.
There you go. Mom was there for once. If you have a moon in Virgo, or if you know anyone with a moon in Virgo, that's the exact sentiment. When I'm sick, I get to be a kid again. Because what we want is to go back home. This is the exact reason why the conception story and the pregnancy story is so important. None of us remember consciously our conception. But we may, and there's therapy to take us back and do, regression therapy that can actually take you back to the womb. Yes. So you can have memories of being in the womb. What is the womb? What is the womb supposed to represent?
Safety.
Safety.
Shelter.
Shelter. Shelter is your home. Food. Intact. Because you're one with your mom. What does that remind you of? So you don't remember sitting next to God or being God or your origin story from heaven, I'm just using common words, but you may, or your parents will tell you and then you'll remember, your pregnancy story. So the womb and heaven are supposed to be the same. Are they?
Because after you're born, that's it. Oh.
Heaven and the womb are not the same. However, especially a Cancer, psychologically, the person thinks it is because of what we just said. Food, shelter, safety, security, all the things that you assume are quote unquote heaven. The intact is what I'm getting at. You were one with your mom, right? You were just one. You were a whole being. The womb, heaven. But what's the difference in the pregnancy? What's the difference in the womb from heaven, quote unquote?
In the womb, you're expected to come out and be born.
Okay, that's part 3 of the subconscious, but let's take it during the pregnancy. Why is the pregnancy intact, the womb, different than what you would imagine you and God hanging out in heaven? Just to use terms that we all can relate to.
You're developing. You're coming from the spirit into the flesh.
Okay, so there's development and there's some change, so there's definitely some change happening. I'm looking for something else. What's your mom?
God.
Crazy.
Your mom, what?
Crazy.
Crazy, yeah, there's a little bit of that. Your mother's human. God isn't human. So when you're in heaven, in this wholeness with your soul, universe, God, whatever you want to call it, you are intact and God is intact.
Sorry, at 11 we're having a Halloween costume party.
Yes, we'll be there.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yes.
go bring it
Okay.
down. Thank you.
Both quote-unquote people, entities, are intact. You don't need to be fed by God. God doesn't need your hugs. You're equal. What happens in the womb?
You're fighting.
You need your mother's food. You need her breath. You need something from this person. She's having a baby. Hopefully she'll be a quote-unquote good mom and will want hugs and love from you. There's a need to need something. You cannot live without your mother. In that environment, you are reliant, castrated. In heaven, you're not castrated. You anybody.
I want to go back to that.
Well, hence why